The one and only Raul Lopez Jr., my business partner, and the founder of TAG Talks Live, author and speaker and coach. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Yeah. Crank that baby up.
Testing. Testing. Is my mic on? There we go. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you, man. Hello. Man, I'm excited. Thank you guys for being here. We put these events together, and it's so much going on. Do we have, oh, I'm on there, okay. I have a presentation I'm gonna start to show right here. If we can get that up there, please. Uh-oh, there we go. All right, man. It's a wonderful day. We've been building up to this thing, and we're having a good time. I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm Raul Lopez Jr. I'm the author of this book, Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. And it has all to do with understanding the importance of expressing your emotions, understanding your emotions. TAG Talks, for me, as I founded it, it had to do with sharing personal stories. And if I do anything today personally, it's to inspire you to share your personal story, to help you to understand how important it is that when you share your story, that you help others in healing. TAG stands for transparency, acceptance, and growth. So when we're transparent in who we are, what we've been through, what we've survived, we're sharing it. First, we have to accept it, right? We accept the challenges that we've been through, maybe the traumas that we've been through, we understand them, then we're transparent in them. And then we grow, and we help others grow. So I've created these forums that we've partnered with Kane and Alicia on this event. I've also created this TAG Talks, it's a co-authoring book where people come in and they share their personal stories. They're either on stage or they share their personal stories. With that, we'll get started. 3 things we're going to do today. We're going to celebrate for no reason. We're going to root for others. And we're going to dream emotionally. Emotion, energy, and motion. So dream emotionally, we'll go over that and I'll explain to you how that works. But let's start out with celebrating for no reason. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get you guys to get to know each other a little bit. And we're just going to have some fun, and it's part of celebration. So if you can, I want to do an exercise. Let me go ahead a couple here. And we're going to start out with these 3 right here. This, by the way, is a Tony Robbins teaching, and I'll be quoting Tony Robbins today. I'll be quoting Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, the Bible. I'll be quoting a bunch of these great guys who have just taught us so many things in life. The reason that I quote these guys and I reference them, it's really important that we give them credit for the things they've taught us. It's the right thing to do, and if I get anything wrong, I can just blame them. But that's actually Zig Ziglar. So what we're going to do with these 3 right here, physiology, and we're going to do a little activity, okay? We're going to greet each other in 3 different ways, and I want you to recognize and see how our physiology is and how our focus is and how our language is during these 3 different meetings of people, and we'll do it with different, okay? So I need everybody to stand up, please. Thank you, thank you. All right, so first, just say hello to somebody on each side of you, just regular hello. How you doing? Good morning. Introduce yourself. Get some energy in here. All right, awesome. All right, we're going to do this 3 more times. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself to one person really shy, like you're scared, you're shy, you don't know, like, you're kind of timid about it, you're just uncomfortable with having to meet this person. So each person meet one person in that way. Oh, hey. Come on up. Hey, hi, nice to meet you. All right, great. All right, how did that feel? A little bit weird, a little bit uncomfortable? All right, so what you probably noticed is with that type of a greeting, I was watching, a lot of people sunk themselves down, right? They sunk down kind of like, hey, how you doing? Right? That has to do with your posture physiology, right? So this time, I want you to greet them, and I want you to greet them like a professional. Hey, how are you? And introduce yourself like boldly, all right? Go ahead. Try somebody different. All right. Nice. All right, good. So what was the difference there? What'd you feel different? Did you feel anything internally a little bit different about saying hello? More confidence, right? You can bring it out. You can decide if you want to be down low, if you want to be higher. All right, so here's where we're going to celebrate people a little bit. This is going to be fun, okay? We're going to celebrate each other. We're going to get to know each other. This time, I want you to greet somebody different. I see some of you guys greeting the same person. I want you to greet somebody different, and I want you to greet them like they're your lifelong friend who you haven't seen in 15 years, and you're so excited to meet them, to see them. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you? Give them a hug, shake their hand. Let me see you celebrate somebody in the way that you've wanted to see them in a long time. Go. Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. All right, awesome. Look at the energy in that. I love it. All right, so what do we see in the three as far as physiology goes? How we use our physical bodies, such as breathing, posture, and movement. In each one of those exercises, we chose to change our posture, talk a certain way, and have a certain amount of excitement per exercise. So what that helps us to understand is that we can do that anytime, right? We can create joy, we can create happiness, we can choose to be positive, right? Sadly, there are a lot of people that are so used to being negative, so used to being down, that when they're in a happy environment, they're uncomfortable. So we want to get people in happy environments. We want to make them feel happy in environments. Okay, focus. Whatever you focus on will feel more strongly. Where focus goes, energy flows. I think a lot of us have heard that. So what does that mean, what we focus on? When you first met somebody today, and you kind of introduced yourself shy, if that was a real meeting, a business meeting, or at a function or something, and you felt like, oh, I don't know how this person's going to accept me. If you felt like you might be rejected, or if you felt like this is somebody that's intimidating to me, what you focus on is how your physiology is going to end up being, right? It's what is the meaning you've made out of that, of the meaning you've made out of that meeting. So if I'm coming up and I'm going to meet somebody. What's your name, sir? Mark? If I'm on my way to meet Mark and I go, hey, Mark has Jim Britt's t-shirt on. Jim Britt's an amazing guy. He must be really close with Jim, and Jim's pretty awesome. I don't know if this guy's even going to want to talk to me. I might come up and be like, hey, Mark, how you doing, man? I'm Raul. Hey, nice to meet you, Mark. Where on the other hand, so the meaning I put to that was a little bit of fear, right? Where on the other hand, if I go, oh, he knows Jim Britt. Hey, Mark, what's up, Mark? How you doing, man? Great to meet you. I see you're wearing Jim Britt's shirt. I'd love to talk to that guy. By the way, Jim's going to be here tomorrow. So see what we focus on, we put a meaning to it. As soon as we put that meaning to it is how our body will react to it. So we have to understand that it's up to us. We can create the joy. We can create the confidence all the time. Okay? And sometimes it takes practice. So language and meaning, as soon as we put words to an experience, it changes the meaning of the experience. This is where we'll get a little bit deeper. After I've met Mark, when I walk away, I can go, man, that was the best experience I ever had. I can't believe I got to meet Mark, and he's going to introduce me to Jim. It's going to be such a great day. Or I can go, man, did I say the right thing? I wonder if he thinks I'm an idiot. You know, what happened, man? How did that go? So I put a meaning to that experience, right? And the next time, if I put that negative meaning to it, the next time I may not even go attempt to shake his hand, right? So this is just something cool that I think I teach a little bit different than Tony Robbins does, but it's his basic 1, 2, and 3 as far as the triad goes. And what we're creating is our state, right? Our state of mind, our state that we're in when we're going through these exercises. All right, I'm going to go back a little bit here. All right. So we're going to root for others today. We're going to do, before we get into dreaming emotionally, and what all that means is we're going to go through an exercise today. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys go ahead and sit down, man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you standing up. Awesome. Thank you. What dreaming emotionally means for me is actually picturing, feeling our dream. Does everybody have a dream? Is everybody here an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur? Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. We all have dreams, right? And kind of going back, how we think about the dream that we have will affect if we're able to go forward with it. How we're confident in it, if we can create that posture and the confidence, has all to do with how we dream and if we are effective in our dream. So we're going to go through an exercise in a little bit. But I want to tell you first a little bit about how I came to understand, study, and learn these things, okay? Because a lot of times, when we have a personal story to share, or we want to help people, we want to be a coach, we want to get out there, it all has to do with something that we've been through. And we don't want anybody else to live through it, right? We don't want anybody else to go through it. We do want them to live through it. We don't want anybody else to go through it. So we kind of have a passion, and we can empathize because we've lived that story, we've lived that life. So this is me when I was just a little guy. On a little horse here. We used to live on a farm up in Vashon Island back in the 70s. I think, man, if we'd have bought that property back then, we'd be living next to some big guys over there. This picture on the upper right-hand side, I'm about 7 years old right there. And at the bottom of this, it says, how does one go from a joyful, happy childhood to this? This is me. I think I was about 23 years old right here, 22, 23 years old right here. And I see kids today. I love kids. I work with kids in juvenile hall. I go into the state prisons and I do programs. It's called Malachi Dads to help inmates communicate with their kids. Because it's very important for a father, to be in his child's life and his mother. But right now the statistics are mostly, I think like 80% of kids that are incarcerated have absent fathers. So again, innocent kid, we've all been one. We've all been loving. We've all been raised happy and having a good time. I shouldn't say all, but a lot of us have. And then something happens, right? Something happens and we end up here. Or we end up in some type of trauma. We end up, in a different type of facility or on drugs or, just something happens. Our life has changed. And there has to be a traumatic event to take you from here to here. Okay? And then to get from here to here is a whole other thing. How does that happen? Right? The inspiration, the drive, the want to change in your life. Well, here's what happened for me. When I was, until I was 7, I lived with my parents and my siblings. My mother had 2 children, met my father. My father had 1. They came together and they had me. So we were a family of his and hers and ours. And for the first 7 years of my life, I was very close with my father. We lived on farms all around. We were born and raised, stationed in San Jose, California, but we traveled around. My parents, after my father got out of Vietnam, he kind of went long hair, hippie style, and we traveled around in vans, kind of like the Scooby-Doo bus, and we'd go state to state and stay on farms and different places like that. And we had a good time. It was a loving, happy time. Until one day, I was playing with my father in my garage, who I was so close with. I always tell people he was the sun to the earth, right? I needed him to survive. I went with him everywhere. I was with him every day. And one day, I'm playing with him in the garage at home, and my mother comes home. She drives up, I remember this clearly, 7 years old. And she said, son, get in the car. We're going to go for a ride. And I didn't think anything of it, right? In San Jose at the time, in the early 70s, it wasn't a big, crazy town like it is now. All of our family on both sides lived within a 5-mile radius. Our grandmas, our uncles, our aunts, everybody lived close. So I just figured we were going to go to one of our family's house. But the next thing I knew, I was on an airplane, and we were flying to Alaska, me, my mother, and 2 of my siblings. And as a young child, getting on a plane, it was kind of exciting. I don't know if any of you guys remember. I don't know if there's still planes like that, but there used to be a plane, and it had an Eskimo on it, right? Alaskan Airlines had an Eskimo on it. And I remember walking to the plane all excited, and I saw the Eskimo. And there was a radio DJ back then. His name was Wolfman Jack. Anybody remember Wolfman Jack? All right, yeah. All right. So I thought the guy on the plane was Wolfman Jack, right? He was hair, beard, and the whole thing. And I was like, hey, Mom, why is Wolfman Jack on the plane? She's like, that's not Wolfman Jack. But I was excited. We got on the plane. We got to Alaska, snow, having some fun. The next day, I asked for my father. I said, hey, where's my daddy? Where's my dad? And what she said changed my entire life from that second. She looked over at me and she said, don't worry about your father. You're not going to see him ever again. And at that age of 7, you don't understand that. There was no recollection of, nothing. Like, I couldn't even start to imagine not having my father in my life because we were so close. And I remember instantly, it was like I split into 2. And at the time, I didn't understand these emotions. That's why I talk about how important it is to understand and express your emotions. Emotions is an energy. At that age, I didn't understand what I was feeling, but I was feeling anxiety, depression, anger, sadness, heartbroken. Just all these emotions that we have as humans were all going through me all at once, confusion, all these things, but I didn't understand them. I didn't know what I was feeling, and it broke me. And I would cry every day. Sometimes my mother wouldn't even take me to school because I was crying I just couldn't control it. And kids would laugh at me. When you're in grammar school, kids are, not nice sometimes. And kids would laugh at me, and the teachers were calling conferences and saying, something's wrong with your son. He's like just in shock or something. He never talks to anybody. He doesn't do any work. He just sits there. I just went into this real weird, I don't know, I guess it was a depression. And one day, I got off the car to go into school, and I would have to walk through the playground to go to class. And for me, it turned into like a gauntlet, because people would say, oh, there's that kid, he's crying all the time. There's that guy, he's crying, he doesn't do anything, he's kind of a weirdo. And I remember standing there, and we were in Alaska in the snow, so I had one of those beanies on where you just can see your eyes and your mouth. And I remember looking at these 2 kids, and I just looked right in their eyes, and I thought, no one's ever going to laugh at me again, and I'm never going to cry again. And my heart hardened. It was like looking back, I could feel it just like a rock. My heart hardened. And I started to live a crazy life from there, from 7 years old. We did end up coming back to San Jose. And after a while, I did get to see my father. And I'll tell you, I'm talking about my mother and my father, and I'll tell you, I love them both to death. My father died many years ago. He was very young because of his lifestyle. My mother lives local. I love her to death. We're very close. But when we got back, and I did get to see my father, I discovered why, over the years, why my mother left him and why she did what she did, and I understand it. Unfortunately, what she didn't understand is what it would do to a child to separate them from their father like that. So I kind of had what I called a split personality. I turned into somebody else. My heart hardened, and I just started to kind of go crazy. At 9 years old, I was doing drugs. At 13, I conceived my first child, my son. He's about this tall. He's 35 years old. And at 14, I got incarcerated for the first time. And from 14 until I was about 24 years old, I'd spend the majority of that time either on the streets or incarcerated at some form of facility. This is San Quentin Prison, the last place that I did some time. And, throughout those years of being lost, being in this fog, I had these 3 questions. Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I act the way that I act? Why do I feel the way that I feel? Now, in business or in your life or anything you're doing, do you ever ask yourself those questions? Do you ever go like, why did I do that? Man, why do I feel like this? I don't understand. You know, if you want to go talk to somebody and you don't, like, why didn't I go? I know I should have taken that opportunity. These questions for me were more personal, you know. I did a lot of dumb things. That's why I was incarcerated all the time. I acted a certain way. I had this mask that I wore that I had created. I look back and I understand I had created this alter ego. And he was named by my neighborhood. His name was Raul. And they'd say, Raul's crazy. He'll do anything. He'll fight anybody. He's crazy. And I had this persona. And, you know, I kind of liked it because I was so lost and I didn't know who I was or what I was doing or where I was going. I took it on, right? And it was just this alter ego that I had. But internally, I would ask that question, why do I act like this? Man, you know, why do I do these things? Why do I act like this? And then most importantly, why do I feel the way that I feel? And I never had the answers, you know. I didn't know that there were answers until I got out of San Quentin. I kind of went on this journey. And the first thing I did is I moved out of San Jose. I was like, I got to get out of here because I'm going to keep getting in trouble. So I moved out of San Jose, and to do that, when you're on parole, you got to ask permission to move into a new county, right? So I had to set up a meeting with a parole officer in that county, and I had to go and I had to ask permission and go through an interview. And this parole officer, I've searched for him. With all the technology there is right now online, I haven't been able to find him. And, you know, obviously this was over 25 years ago, but I haven't been able to find him. But he told me, he said, you could move into my town, my county, but the day you move into this county, you need to be enrolled in the local college. And I hadn't even graduated high school, right? And I looked at him and I said, okay. And he stopped me and he says, no, you don't understand. Before you spend one night in this county, you need to be enrolled in college. So go to the college, sign up for classes, show me that you signed up for classes, and then you can come and move into my county. So I said, okay, let me get some water real quick. So I said, okay. And I went down to the local junior college. This is in Santa Rosa Junior College. I had no idea what I was doing. I said, hey, how do I sign up for a class? Somebody said, you got to go to admissions. I went to admissions, said, hey, I need to sign up for some classes. They said, okay, you got to do an assessment, and we'll see where we can place you in school. And I said, okay, great. Made the appointment for the assessment, took that to the parole officer. He says, okay, you're on your way. You can move in. You can move to town. Took the assessment, and they looked at me kind of like, hey, you're not ready for college classes, but we have this little unit on the side of the college, and you can go there and build yourself up, you know, until you're ready for college courses. And I said, okay, you know, I'll do what I got to do. And, you know, in life and business and things that we're doing, sometimes we just got to do what we got to do, right? We just get out there and we do it. We don't think about it. We just do it. We know we want to change. We know we want to improve our lives. We do it. So it was what I had to do. And I spent about 2 years in that little side unit. I got high school equivalency, and then I was able to sign up for some general education college courses. And one of the first courses that you get in general education in college is Psychology 101. And that class changed the entire trajectory of my life. It changed everything for me. I got into that class, and I get this big book, and I'm going through it. We're studying it. And there was some answers to some of these questions. It said, if you grew up like this, you may do things like this. If this happened to you in your life, you may act like this. If this happens to you, you might feel like this. And there were just answers to these questions, and I started to read these psychology books, and I totally got off track as far as general education, and I started doing anything that I could with psychology, neuroscience, communication, just anything that I could figure out to help me understand me, right, and help me to communicate with people. Because I'll tell you, coming out of the lifestyle, that subculture of the prison incarceration lifestyle, it really is a subculture, right? I mean, growing up as a kid, the neighborhood that I hung out in, the people that were in my environment, the people I hung around, right? People you hang around is who you become, right? The people that you think like, act like, the amount of money you make, everything you do, as I think they say, is within the 5 people you hang around the most. Well, I'll tell you, the 10, 20 guys and girls that I hung around with, everybody was getting incarcerated, doing drugs, and doing dumb things. So that's who I was. We didn't have goals of going to the university. Our pride, we take pride in how much time we got. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that lifestyle or culture or work with kids or anything, but it's sad to this day, kids still think it's cool to get a lot of time in prison. Oh yeah, I got 5 years. I worked with these kids in juvenile hall for a while, and one of them, sadly, I tried to work with him and talk to him and explain things to him. He took a deal he was 16 years old. He took a deal for 30 years. 16, 30 years. He could have got 15. He took the 30 because he thought that was the cool thing to do. So he can come back and say, I got 30 years. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. My guess is by now he's going, oh, once he got there, it's a different story. We have these ideas of what it's going to be like, and then we get there and we go, holy crap. I'll tell you, when I was in San Quentin talking about trauma, I saw a lot of crazy things. People die in those prisons every day. You don't hear about it in the news, but people get killed or they die in these prisons every day. I was standing right next to a guy, and somebody came up behind him and just slit his throat. And the culture is you look over and you walk away. That's stuff that we carry. That's stuff that sticks with us, But anyways, studying, I started to get answers to these questions, and immediately I was like, I got to go into juvenile hall and share this stuff with these kids because there are answers to these questions, and if I could get them before they go to prison, it'll change their whole lives. So I ended up, like I said, I got off track, but I got a ton of units, college units, and I was able to take some continuing study psychology courses at Stanford University. I paid for them out of my pocket because I wanted to study with the best. So I went to Stanford for a little while, studied some psychology. With all the 100 and something units I studied, I never got a degree because I studied what I thought would help me, what would improve me and help me to help others. Nothing against the degree, I'd love to have it, but it isn't the way things worked out for me. So I started to change my life. I started to see that there was more to life than, the subculture of that prison life and those goals, those false goals that I have. And I even had to practice. When you guys have a goal and something that you want to do in life or in business, do you know that it's important to practice? Right? Is there any salespeople in here? Do you practice? Do you practice? Good. Good. It's important to practice a lot, right? Regularly, in the mirror, or just with random people. Sometimes when I have to try something out new, I'll just go to random people and go, okay, I'm going to go try this out with this person. If I bomb, I bomb. I don't care, but it's going to be practice, right? That's the best, for me, the best practice has been to just go for it. But at that time, I had to practice actually saying hi to people because I wasn't used to it. I had to practice saying thank you, right? I appreciate that. I remember those 3 words. Hi, how are you? Because, when you're in that lifestyle, you probably see people walk around like they're all cool and they just kind of nod their head like that. Hey, what's up? Hey. What's up? That was my whole hi, That was it. Or I wouldn't look you in the eyes. But I practiced saying hi to people. Hey, what's up, Gary? Hi. How you doing? One time, a friend of mine, he got a new car. And I saw his car, and I go, man, this is a really nice car. And he said, thank you, I appreciate that. And when he said that, it made me feel good, which is kind of weird, right? But it made me feel good. He said, thank you, I appreciate that. And I was like, oh, he appreciated what I said. and I felt good. And I said, I'm going to practice that, So when somebody would say anything to me or anything that I could thank you for, I'd say, thank you, I appreciate that. And I'd practice, and I'd practice, and I'd practice. I still say it to this day. So hello, thank you. What was the third one? I forgot it already. Hello, thank you, and I think it was I appreciate that. So I started changing my life. I started studying, different people. I actually didn't discover Tony Robbins himself until probably about 5 or 6 years ago. But I remember my mother introducing me to him back in the 80s. And as I studied these things, here's something that I've learned. We're conditioned from birth, and we conformed to our environment. What is the story that you tell yourself? Well, the stories that we tell ourselves are based on the environment that we're raised in. Right? What lies have you accepted as truth? A lot of us accept lies as truth about ourselves. I've heard it said many times that we're meaner to ourselves than we'd be to anybody else, even a stranger. The way we talk to ourselves, the way we put ourselves down, the way we restrict ourselves. What have you come to believe you can't change that is only an idea in your mind? One of the things that frustrated me the most, because I used to say this as I got older and I started working with people one-on-one and working with people that are incarcerated in different areas, is people say, that's just the way I am. Man, that's a lie. That's a lie that that's just the way I am. I can't change. That's just how things are. That's just the way I am. Earlier that little exercise we did, we said hello to people in 3 different ways. We chose to, right? Now we are conditioned and we do conform. But if you understand that, you can change it. We can recondition the way we think. We can study new things. We can try new things. If I could come from what I showed you there, to being on stages, to coaching people one-on-one, to writing books, helping people, anybody can, right? We hear people say all the time, if I could do it, anybody can do it. And I think we hear that so often because it's true, because we all look at ourselves and go, who am I? I'm just some guy, right? I mean, I've been through the fires of hell, right? And I say now I carry buckets of water for people. And I want to inspire people to inspire people. That's my goal. So, conditioning. Our parents are the first ones that start that for us. Our parents mean good, right? They love us. They mean good for us. But they're teaching us what they've been taught. They're teaching us what they know. Everything we know, we've learned somewhere throughout our lives. We create associations to those types of things. Excuse me. One of the things, and this is not a terrible thing, it was my mother being kind, trying to be polite in public, and this is a simple thing. She used to always tell us when we were kids and we were playing around, here, quiet down, you're going to bother those people. Oh, quiet down, you're going to bother those people. Or if we had a question, where's the bathroom, we were in public, whatever it is. Oh, no, don't ask them, don't bother those people. She'd say that all the time. And after so many years, even as I got to be an adult and I had my own kids, I caught myself telling my daughter, don't talk to them, you don't bother those people. And I remember I said that, and I thought, wait a second. We don't bother people. I see other people come up to me all the time and ask me for directions or ask me for how to get here, how to get there. It doesn't bother me at all. But that conditioning that I was told that over and over again, not that I bother people, but don't bother people, I took it as I started to believe that I bothered people, so I wouldn't talk to anybody. That's why I had to practice. My daughter is very outgoing. I talk about her a lot. I love her. She's 26, and she's pregnant. Her and her husband are pregnant. I'm excited. November, they're going to have a baby. She wouldn't listen because she was so young and energetic, and I'd say, oh, don't bother those people. And she'd run over there, hi, I'm Christina, and she'd talk to them and everything else, and they would just engage with her. Hey, how are you, Miha? And they'd talk to her and play with her and the whole thing. And I would look, and I'd say, see, she's not bothering them. They're having a good time. I think she actually made their day. So that was just a simple example of conditioning. It's something that locked into me. Now, associations. Association is an event that's attached to an emotion. And these ones stick with us subconsciously. In short, what I told you about what happened to me when I was a child, being separated from my father, I learned this way later on in life, and it affected me many years, is that I associated love with pain. I loved my father to death. I couldn't imagine not being away from him. I was torn from him and broken. So you know what happened? I created love issues. Love equaled pain for me. Abandonment issues. After I did get to see him and he took off, he was living a crazy lifestyle. And these things that we carry affect us in our lives, with our own kids, in our relationships, and in our business, in anything that we're doing. Sometimes we have these associations and we don't even understand what it is. This just subconsciously, it could be a certain color that for some reason we have association to it, a negative association to. And when we see the color, if it's orange, I may just kind of walk by and I see the orange, and all of a sudden I get into a weird mood. It could be good or bad. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? And I might get into a certain mood, and I might not even know why. But if I really dig into it and looked back, maybe something happened and there was an accident, a car accident or something, and there was an orange car involved or something. So we really have to be aware of how we feel, why we feel these ways, right? Pay attention. It takes practice, but I had to pay attention to, man, all of a sudden I feel horrible. Why? You know? I have a friend of mine, and she talks about how she had a hard time in high school, right? I guess she wasn't the popular kid. I'm not sure how she looked. I didn't see her in high school. But she talks about how she didn't look good. Her hair was always messy. You know, she just didn't have a good time in high school. People made fun of her and the whole thing. And that she was at home one day with her husband. So years later, she's at home with her husband. And her husband was watching one of those high school musical shows. And she all of a sudden, she was in a bad mood. And she started kind of having an argument with her husband. And he was following her around. And she's like, get away from me. And she was just... But she noticed, like, what happened? Half an hour ago, I was just fine. All of a sudden, I'm in this weird mood. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want this guy to get away from me. I don't understand. And she started studying, and she started trying to figure it out. And she realized that because of her high school upbringing and what she experienced, the trauma she experienced, when she'd see things about high school, it would trigger that emotion. It would come back. She associated high school to pain, high school to anger, high school to sadness. She didn't even realize it, right? She started studying it and figuring out, understanding that that's even possible, and she was able to change that. All right, what else do I got here? All right, let's get into a little bit. This is a business success secrets. Some of this stuff, a lot of it is personal, right? I do in my life, life and business coaching, and I make sure that I put life in front of business, because if we're not straight in our lives, the same problems that we have in our lives, we're going to carry on to our business. I've heard that 90% of business and work problems are people's personal problems in disguise, right? If we have these associations, if we have these issues that we haven't dealt with, they're going to affect us in our personal lives and in our businesses. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Les Brown. Anybody know who Les Brown is? Les Brown's awesome. I love the guy. All right. What are you allowing to stop you? Is there anybody here that has something you need to do to start your business, move your business forward, and you're not doing it? Be honest. Come on, let's see. All right. What are some reasons that we don't get started? Now, we talked a little bit about associations and conditioning, and a lot of that is fear, why we don't do things. This is a more simple example. Sometimes we don't get started because we think we have to have everything in place to get started, right? I talk to a lot of people, and the most common thing people tell me when I'm working with them in their businesses is starting their businesses, is they say, well, I don't have a website. I can't get started. and I know a couple of people right now that are doing very well in their coaching businesses, and they don't even have websites, right? They talk to people. They go to events. They do things. So sometimes simple things, I don't have a website, I have to get my business card so I can pass them out. I don't have this, I don't have that. So what are you allowing to stop you? You don't have to be great to get started. You don't have to have everything that you need, but you do have to get started if you want your business to be successful. You do have to understand some of these concepts if you want to change your life. Being a bit naive in business is okay. I learned this years ago. My first coach that I ever hired, I think I was 30 years old, and he taught me a few things. And one of them was, he said, look at me. He says, do you see what I've created? And this was a real estate coach. He said, do you see what I've created in this business? And I said, yes. He goes, do you believe that I can help you? I said, yes. He goes, do you believe that I know what I'm doing? I said, yes. He goes, then just do what I tell you. That's it, right? And we always have to do some due diligence and kind of understand things. But I was naive in the industry. I didn't know what can go wrong, but that actually helped me because I just did what he said, and I did very well. And it wasn't until I had some challenges in a couple of deals that I did that I learned some of the things that can happen, may happen, and there were rarities in all the deals that we were doing, that I started to have fear, right? And I was like, well, that deal I did a couple of weeks ago, this happened. What if that happens here? And I started to build up fear. Fear is debilitating. Fear will stop you every time, right? So I just always tell people it's okay to not know everything. You don't have to have everything in place. You do want to do your due diligence, but don't be afraid. If you got a dream, if you have a goal, you go after it. You go get it. Taking action builds momentum. It goes right into that. Take action, right? If you want to change your life, your relationships, the way your relationships are with your children, your business, your job, whatever it is, take some action. What do you need to do, right? You know. Each and every one of you either have a business or work for somebody. You have some challenges, and I dare to say you know what you need to do to improve your situation. Sometimes we got to swallow our pride a little bit and go, well, maybe it's me, right? Maybe I need to stop being this way or saying this or acting like that. Because I've been in a few different industries, and a lot of times the challenges I had were my ego. All right, starting over takes patience. Anybody here had to start over in business? Let me see. Anybody that was around in the mid-2000, 2008, 2009 had to start over again, right? That takes patience. It's hard because we have that fear. We're scared, right? This happened last time. We have that association maybe, right? Well, last time I was in business, I lost everything I had, or this happened, or that happened. I got sued, whatever it might be. So we create those associations. All right, what's next? All right, so I want to sum up just a little bit of the story that I told you. I do a talk, and it's called "With God as the Foundation, Understanding the Science of the Mind and Body Will Change Your Life." And what that means for me is the training that I did, the studies that I did, are science, right? Psychology is science. Biologically, our body, what we eat, has all to do with how we feel. That's science. But spiritually, for me, is very important. I believe it's the foundation of what we're doing, and it helped me a ton. My father died when he was 47. I'm 49 right now, so I've lived a couple years longer than he did. I was in my early 20s when he passed away, and it wasn't but maybe 4 or 5 years ago where I found healing, and it was a divine meeting with a few people. And what happened is I had this vision. I was laying down. I one of the things that I do to calm myself is I practice meditating, and I soak quietly, quiet my mind. I don't know, I should have spent a little bit more time on that. How many people's minds just never stop? Just run and run. And thank you, yeah. Most of us, all of us, I believe, just go and go and go. A lot of times, as soon as we wake up in the morning, our mind's already going. We instantly get anxious, right? Because we have all these things to do, or this might work, this might not work. What am I going to do? But I learned to quiet my mind. Anybody in here, a lot of people here local? Who's local in the Sacramento area? Anybody here know who Pastor Francis is? Pastor Francis Alfuso, he's an amazing guy. He was the one who taught me years ago, quiet your mind and soak in prayer. Meditate, learn to quiet your mind. And I was like, how do you quiet your mind? I didn't even know we can control what we think and when we think it. So through meditation and prayer, I learned to quiet my mind. And one day I'm relaxing, I'm practicing quieting my mind, doing some breathing exercises. And I end up in this field that I had seen throughout my entire life. And previously, there was this wall blocking me from going into this field. And I had seen therapists and psychiatrists, and I did a lot of work on myself, working with different people, whether they be coaches or therapists or psychologists. And I would always talk about this block that I had, this wall that I had throughout my life, these things that just bothered me. Those questions I had, why do I do what I do? Why do I act the way I act? Why do I feel the way that I feel? And they would always try to get rid of the wall. And one asked me one time, what's on the other side of the wall? It's interestingly enough, at a very young age, I couldn't even see past the wall. And over the years, as I started to learn things, the wall kind of got smaller, and but I could never pass it. And this one psychologist asked me, what's on the other side of the wall? And I could just see it. I kind of, mentally looked, and I said, I don't know, I just see freedom. She's like, freedom? I go, I see freedom. I go, I see a beautiful field. I see trees. I see freedom. And she said, oh, can you put a ladder on the wall and climb over it? She gave me a couple metaphors, and I was like, I could picture the ladder, but I can't get over it. She goes, can you put a door in the wall and walk through it? And I said, I could picture the door, but I can't walk through it. And it was just this block that I had, right, throughout all these years. Even though I had understood the science side of things, even though I understood the biology, the psychology, I understood what I had went through, but I hadn't healed from it. And so during this meditation, I wind up in this field, and the wall is gone, and I'm like, whoa, I could see the entire field. But I couldn't move. I was stuck. I couldn't move my feet. And I didn't know what was going on, and I look over, and I see this little boy. Heal the boy, the man will appear. I see this little boy, and I realize it's me when I was 7 years old, that little boy that I showed you earlier. And I looked over at him, and my first feelings were kind of anger, frustration. I was like, you're my wall? You've been holding me here all these years? Like, what is this? What are you doing? And he just looked at me with no emotion. And we didn't actually speak. We were communicating, but there was like no vocal. And he looked at me, and he said, I'm not holding you here. You're holding me here. And it was powerful. Just this wave of like energy and understanding kind of came through. And I understood that I had put him aside, right? I told you guys I created an alter ego. And I had put him aside, and this alter ego was defending him. I'm not going to cry anymore. No one's going to look at me like that, and we're going to fight. And I created this alter ego, this mask, for so many years, got me in trouble, did all these crazy things. And I knelt down. I started to cry, and I just hugged him. And I started to apologize to him. And I started to say things to him that were just flowing. I love you. You're amazing. You're a light. You're a joy. That's what kids are, right? Beautiful kids. When your child is born, when your grandchild is born, you instantly love them. They've done nothing, right? Did they earn it? No, you instantly love them. They're beautiful. Children are the light. They're gifts from above. And I started pouring this into this little boy. I love you. You're the light. You are joy. You are happiness. I love you. I love you. And then I started to call him son. And at the same time that I'm calling him son, I'm thinking, this is not my son, this is me. But from there was a shift. And I realized it was my father. And he was hugging both of us. And he was saying, I love you, son. You're the light. I'm sorry, son. I apologize. I love you. And so all three of us just embraced. And there was such healing, such understanding. And then we stood up. And from above, God spoke to all three of us. And he said, I love you, son. You are the light. You are the joy. You are the happiness. And a continued wave of understanding came that life didn't happen to me, but it happened for me. And to be able to survive and understand all this craziness, just lost on the streets in prison, going to school, getting Fortune 500 jobs, creating companies, all these things, it happened for me to help others, to inspire others. Because I'll tell you, when I go into juvenile hall, there's nothing those kids have done that I haven't done. I can truly empathize with them. When I go into the state prisons and I work with these guys, I understand them. I know they're people. They're not felons. They're not convicts. They're people. And, I've been around enough to know some of them belong there. Some of them are there and they should be there. And others have committed crimes and they go and they do their time, but they're good people that have the ability to change their lives. So after this wave of energy came and understanding and love, somehow, for whatever reason, the little boy, my father had disappeared, and the little boy was in my hand, and I held him like this, and I just looked at him. And something prompted me to put him into my heart. And I just put him in. And it was such a release. It was like a forgiveness of self, It was an understanding, and I was free, and my heart softened again. It softened again, and I was free to live. I was free to speak. I was free to meet people, shake hands, be joyful again. Changed my entire life with God as the foundation, understanding the science of your mind and your body. It'll change your life. So some of these things that we've talked about today, we've gone through very quickly, but they're important things to understand. And if I can inspire you to go, I mean, nowadays, everything's online, right? You can key in Psychology 101. You can key in some neuroscience. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. He teaches some amazing things about healing. I recommend Pastor Francis. He's actually retired, but he's an amazing guy. He changed my life quite a bit. But get out there. Learn, study. Pay attention to how you feel when you feel that way, why you feel that way, and if it's necessary, whether it be good or bad. We can be happy for all reasons. There was another exercise I was going to do, but I think I may have went over a little bit. Let's see. What did I say in the beginning here? Oh, dream emotionally. Okay, I'm going to close with this. I've got about 10 minutes. So let's everybody stand up again, please. All right. Raise your hand if you have a dream. I hope everybody's raising their hand. Raise your hand if you have a dream. Yes. All right. So let's close our eyes, and I want you to think about that dream. I don't care how big it is. Make it big. Make it huge. Something that you want in your life. It could be anything. Might be a Ferrari. Might be a new spouse. It could be anything. Not a new spouse, but a spouse. It could be anything. A new dream job, a company that you want to open, a building you want to buy. What is your dream? Think about it, okay? Now picture yourself in the dream. Picture yourself behind that wheel with the keys to that new house, in the perfect relationship, working as a coach, as writing your book, whatever your dream is. Picture yourself with it completed in the dream. Now, bring the emotion, feel the emotion with the success that comes with that. Really feel like it's there. You've accomplished it, you've done it. How would you feel when you get those new keys? How do you feel when you get the new house key? Picture it, feel it. I want you to feel it, recognize it, understand it, put an emotion to it, and start to generate the joy in it. Yes, yes. Now, as you're sitting there in your dream, and you're feeling it, you actually have it. It's success right now. You're there. You've done it. You're going to accomplish it. It's accomplished. What you're doing is you're allowing yourself to understand that it's possible. That your dream is possible and you can achieve it. When we don't think about, or sometimes we can't think about accomplishing our dreams because we've never been there. So I'm helping you create a path. Now you've been there. You've been successful. Your dream is here. Can I get a little exciting music playing just real quick? When the music goes on, let's celebrate as though you've accomplished your number one dream. Let's go, guys. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go. Celebrate. Yes.